Are you ready to do this? We can do this. We're smart. We're talented. We're likable. We can do this. We can put on a show. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the inaugural Sassy Knits podcast. It's a podcast. That's what they call it nowadays. Podcasts are so 2017. We're going to talk about podcasts now. This is the inaugural podcast. I am your host, Therese, and I am so excited to be here. And now I have to admit, I was a little hesitant to start this podcast because I thought, oh my gosh, like there's so many out there that I love. There's so many amazing people out there. There's so amazing knitters. Like, why should I do one when there's 1,000 other ones out there? And then that's when I realized, yeah, there's other podcasts out there, but there's only one me. And there's only one me with my thoughts and my opinions and the way that I knit and all of this stuff. And I kind of wanted to make a podcast for people kind of like me. I am not an expert in knitting. I'm going to go over my knitting story a little later on in this show, but suffice it to say that although I technically started knitting like a decade ago, it's really only been in the last year that I really picked it up and it's become more of a lifestyle for me, and now I am thoroughly addicted, thank you very much, and I just want to build a community of other like-minded knitters. And so I thought, you know what? There might be other knitting podcasts out there, but there will only be one Sassy Knits podcast. So that is why I'm here. I decided to go for it anyway. I hope you stick along with me. I hope that you enjoy what I offer, what I show to you, that'll be a little bit different, and that we can chat together, we can talk together, and we can build a community of makers and knitters and people who give and teach and love, and because that's who knitters are, right? That's who we are. And I want to build a community of people like that. So one of the things that I think sets me apart from other knitters is the fact that I only kind of sort of like tea. It's true. I only like a little bit in the wintertime. I like a lot of David's tea. Right now I'm obsessed with Let It Snow. It may be the only tin of David's tea that I will actually like finish before the winter's out. Usually our teas will last a couple of years. So we're not huge tea people. We are, however, coffee people. So I might not have tea, but I certainly have coffee. And of course, in my beautiful TARDIS mug, I love my Doctor Who. Do you like Doctor Who? I want to know. Tell me if you like Doctor Who. So today I am drinking Kicking Horse coffee. This is a staple in my house. I'm from Canada. I'm from Toronto, and I live here with my husband and my 4-year-old boy and our little cat, black cat, Job. In our house, we do drink Kicking Horse. It's a coffee based out of British Columbia here in Canada, and it's an organic fair trade coffee, and the taste is just unbelievable. Usually we have Cliffhanger espresso because we have an espresso machine. I know, whatever. It's really good stuff, okay? Leave me alone. But this one is Grizzly Claw, and it's like a dark chocolatey kind of taste to it. Oh my god, it's so I'm gonna ham a little bit because it's really good. The downside to this mug is that it's square. So if you want to drink from here, you're gonna get all over your face. So I have to drink it on the corner. It's very awkward. And I figured, okay, us knitters, although we love to talk about knitting, we're not just about knitting, right? We're about life and stuff. And I think most of us really like chocolate. So I thought it was my duty to introduce you guys to the world of chocolate. I know. I may or may not have done this because it's a self-serving thing for me to have coffee and chocolate on my show, but guess what? It's my show and I can do what I want, right? And I don't think you're complaining because I'm sure that most of you like chocolate too. Anyway, for Christmas, my husband, who knows me very well, knows that I'm very much a hippie when it comes to my food. I like things to be fair trade and sustainable and blah, 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 and super expensive and all of that fun stuff. So he went out and he got me two types of chocolate from one company. I may have already eaten the other one, but I saved the other one for the show. And it is vanilla sea salt from Choco Sol. Now, Choco Sol, I'm going to bring it up on my phone because, oh, you know what? I'm just going to read the back of it for you. The Choco Sol company is based out of Toronto, and they're amazing. I'm going to read just what's on the back. This is just a half bar. You can actually get a full bar that's this big. And it says, stepping beyond sustainability, cacao forest gardens remind us of how we can regenerate habitat for community. We can regenerate habitat for communities of plants, people, animals, and soil. Made bean to bar in Toronto, Canada. And I can't speak highly enough about this company. They're so transparent. They care so much about how the bars are made, the people who make them, where they get things, all of that, the people that they sell it to. Their ingredients are phenomenal. I mean, this one alone, the vanilla sea salt, it's just cacao, raw cane sugar, cacao butter, vanilla pod, and sea salt. That's it. They have a ton of different flavors. You can go to chocosoltraders.com. They also have bars for hot chocolate. So they have like baking chocolate. You can actually use this flavor for baking chocolate as well. And I just found out they have coffee. What? So maybe for the next show, I might try the Choco Salt coffee if I can find it. I should. I'm in Toronto. It's from Toronto. So I'll have that in the description box below. But trust me, like, I don't want to eat with my mouth full, or speak with my mouth full, but it is a dark chocolate for 65% cacao. That's a dark chocolate. And that's the thing. I can eat milk chocolate forever. I could eat bar after bar, which is why I can't. Because I will. But with dark chocolate, I can only eat a little bit at a time because it is so rich and dark. It's so rich that I can only eat a little bit at a time. I can actually only have 2 to 3 squares at a time. So it's the perfect thing for me to have in the house, to have a nice little treat in the afternoon, because I just can't eat that much of it. So anyway, what's your favorite chocolate? Do you have a favorite chocolate or a chocolate bar or chocolate company? Like, let me know in the comments, because I need to do my research. Thank you very much. It's for you guys I do this. It's for you guys. I promise. I promise. Okay. So now that I got my mouth full, moving on. Finished objects. I am going to give you guys some finished objects since about December, right? Because we're just in the beginning of January, and I want to show you a few things that I've been working on since December. Now, one of them was a Christmas gift, so I don't have it. I realized I didn't even take a picture of it, but it's nothing too fancy. It was a Hufflepuff scarf for my niece. And it was honestly just made out of some acrylic and whatnot, because I wanted her to be able to wash and wear and not have to worry about going, oh God, don't put it in the dryer. Like, you know, she's 14, like, or 13. She just wants to wear it. She loves her Harry Potter. I love my Harry Potter too. I'm a bit of a geek. Hello. Any doubts? But, so I made her a Hufflepuff scarf. So I'm going to show you what went wrong first, and then I'll show you what went right, maybe in that order. So I had planned on making my very first cardigan. Scratch that. I did make my very first cardigan. It was supposed to be for my mother-in-law for Christmas. I picked her colors out and everything, and I knit the whole thing up, but it turned out that I was not comfortable giving it to her at all. So I'll show you, and I'll show you why. So this is, it's big, I know. This is it. This is the Harvest cardigan from Tin Can Knits. All right, so, it was my first cardigan. I am in like the beginning stages of sweater making. So I'm making a lot of mistakes. I did socks last year. Socks was the year of socks was 2017. And then I decided I wanted to start making like sweaters and cardigans. So I picked this pattern for her. I went out again because when you don't know if someone is knit worthy, you're kind of afraid to use your really expensive yarns, right? So I did go for more acrylic, just in case. And if she really loved it, then I would know down the line I can make her something really special, right? Like, I know we hoard our yarn, but people need to deserve to wear like a $150 cardigan. You're not just gonna knit that up for anyone, thank you very much. So I went out and I did buy, and I love these colors because they're very her, like these earthy autumn colors. But of course it was a weight that's bigger than the Tin Can Knits version. I think hers is like maybe a fingering weight. So I still did it to gauge. I still gauged it properly. And the problem that everything else was fine. I mean, the stitches here, normally I'm not much of a loose stitcher, but the stitches here turned out okay, like they're nice and loose. But then what happened is you're supposed to go down a full size of needle when you do the garter stitch at the end. But when you look at it, just with one size down, it just started to pucker. And this was really difficult. This was like, because I had to go down to a size 2 millimeter to be able to do this. And so you can see how much it decreased. And so it began to pucker because it was so loose here and then it got so tight here, right? And then what happened is I magic looped the sleeves. First and foremost, I used self-striping yarn. Sometimes I'm not the best attention to detail. And I was only partway through it when I went, I'm going to have such a hard time with my sleeves. Because yeah, I get about 10 rows per striping on the base of it, but on the body of it. But when I went here, I'm like, it's going to be like twice as much. It's going to be like 20 rows. It's going to look weird. So I had to go through a cake. I had to take out each color and ball it up on its own and then count out like approximately 10 rows for each to make it look half decent. Now, it was not difficult. It was just a bit tedious. The downside is, as you can see, is this is where I'd stopped and this is where I started, right? Do you see that? All of a sudden, and now you can see it, like it's so loose here and then super tight here because I switched to magic loop. And so I don't know what happened. My theory is that because I used circular needles with a heavier yarn for the body, the stitches hung and so they stretched down more. But then when I switched, because the needle size for this is the same as the body. So I think then what happened is when I switched to magic loop, it's less yarn on the cable and it's spending less time on the cable. So it knit up much tighter. I expected the whole thing to knit up like this and that didn't happen. So, and then I had made an extra large. She's taller than me. She might be about the same build, but she's taller. So, and I know that she likes things to be able to wrap around, and I wanted her to wear this at their cottage. It's something warm she could throw on. It would go down over her bum, and she can just wrap herself up in. So I made an extra large. I would probably take a medium to a large depending on the size and the fit. So I thought I would make her an extra large, something she can really, really wrap up. I even extended the bottom 2 inches and it just I tried it on when I was done. It just went to my waist and it wouldn't even do up. I don't know what went wrong. Everything went wrong. The only thing that did not go wrong was the fact that I finished it. So I am very proud that I finished my first cardigan, even if I decided not to give it to her for Christmas. I didn't. So I don't know what to do with it. I could like take it apart, but I don't know. I even made a button for it, but I haven't put I made a buttonhole, but I haven't put an actual button on it. So I don't know what I'm going to do with it. But I wanted to share that just to say that, you know, I don't want to show you the perfect stuff all the time because sometimes things just don't work out. And I'm learning. Like, again, I started knitting. I taught myself how to knit about 10 years ago. And really only this year am I really taking this seriously. I really started to take it seriously. So I'm making lots of mistakes and I'm learning as I go. And I don't have teachers. You know, I'm doing this all myself. So I want to show you guys the good, the bad, and the ugly so we can work on it together, because I'm hoping that if you're a beginner knitter, someone who just started, or maybe you've been teaching yourself as well, and you just have to fail your way forward, to know that there's people out there that are doing the same. I mean, all knitters do this. All knitters, there's no knitter out there who's done everything perfectly, but I want to show you guys my journey into, me getting better, right? And exploring where I went wrong, and, the weights and needle sizes. And then if you are a more experienced knitter, maybe you can help us. You know what I mean? That'd be great. So that was the first thing I made. I finished that for the beginning of December. Then, what am I going to show you next? Okay, so then I decided, I had this really great yarn. I just have to get all this stuff. So ages ago, I bought this. There's still some of it left. I'll tell you what I'm going to do with it. This is the Loué Gems color. It's 100% merino wool. It's their sport weight, and it's in the color teal. I love it. Teal, mint greens, robin's egg blue, Tiffany blue. All of those are that's my jam. That is what I love the most. So I used that to I made these first because I needed mittens, because I couldn't find my mittens this year. So I had to make some because I'm a knitter. I realized I was a knitter and I didn't have a hat, a scarf, or mittens that I had knit for myself. So that has been rectified, and I'll show you what I made. So I made these mittens. I'm going to put them on. These are the Grayling. This is the Grayling pattern by another Tin Can Knits. See, it's not the pattern from Tin Can Knits for the Harvest cardigan. That's fine. I'm pretty sure it's 100% me. So these are the, I can see if you can see it. This is the Grayling pattern from Tin Can Knits. It's just stockinette on this side. Okay. I love them. They're so cozy. I have a red jacket it looks gorgeous with. And it's a really quick knit. I think I knit these both up in 1 week. Maybe less than a week. That's all I can say about it. Really, that's all I can say about it. These were fantastic. The yarn was great to work with. They blocked up quite nicely. Oh, speaking of blocking, so I had to block these, but I didn't have anything to block them with, right? Like, I didn't pin them out or anything. I just wanted to block them so that they were going to stay like this, right? So I MacGyvered something. Guess what I made? I made my own mitten blockers. I took a piece of cardboard, I traced my hand around it, had my son help me too, and I wanted to get packing tape because it's more plastic, but we didn't have any. So I just used green painter's tape, and I just made my own blockers. And it worked. After I soaked these for a bit and I put them on, I wish that they had little holes. I probably should have put little hole punch holes in them, but they worked great. So there you go. If you need some little mitten blockers, you can make them yourself. If you have a better idea, trust me, I would love to hear it, because these are far from imperfect and they won't last forever. I think the thumbs will bust if I do too many of them, but it worked for the time being. So I made the Grayling mittens, Tin Can Knits, and then I needed a matching hat. So then I made the Dragonfly hat by Joji Locatelli. So I'll put it back. Okay. I did have a bit of an issue with this hat. Not that there's anything wrong with this hat. This hat is beautiful, and the pattern calls for in the round, but I didn't have cables the size for in the round, so I did it magic loop because I do everything in magic loop. But the problem is there's 3 sizes. There's small, medium, and large. She said in the picture, I'll show you the picture. The picture, she says she's wearing the medium. I think she has a really small head because this is a medium. This is the medium how it knit up. And she used 100% merino, I used 100% merino, fingering weight, blah, 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 blah. And I think she just has a really small head. I mean, mine isn't huge, but I have a lot of hair. So all is not lost. I still love this hat. I think it's adorable. I wanted to make a replacement for one of my slouchy hats, and this is not nearly as slouchy as I want it. There is one size bigger, and I have enough yarn left over that I'm going to knit that hat. Maybe I'll give this one away because I probably won't wear it. It's too small. So I might give this one away to someone, and I'm going to knit myself the bigger size soon. It's going to be one of my next couple of projects. So all is not lost. Still love, oh my God, this color is stunning. So that's what I'm going to do. Moving on. Speaking of hats I'm not going to wear, this is like a theme for me this year. I had sometimes you just have old yarn, you just want to see how it knits up. So I had this old yarn, it's like loops and thread, like acrylic stuff. And I wanted, after I realized that this hat wasn't going to work out, I needed a chunkier hat. So I knit this one up, and it is actually what I wear most days now. It's also, you can tell how much hair I have. It's not big enough, and it doesn't hold in the cold. Acrylic just doesn't hold in cold. So, and it was like minus a million degrees out last week, and it just was not, I had to switch to my husband's hat. It just was not doing the trick. So, whatever. I had this yarn for ages. I basically made up my own hat. It's just in the round because I just wanted to see what the color would knit up like. So I love the colors. It's kind of fun, but I think I'll take, I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna knit my hat out of because I decided yesterday. Okay, from Christmas, I did a Christmas Eve cast on, and I bound off at like 11:40 p.m. New Year's Eve. My goal was to get all of my whips finished up before 2018 hit, and I did it. I'll tell you my secret in a minute. I knit myself some socks. I do have 2. No, I don't have sock blockers. It's another thing I'm different about when it comes to knitting podcasts. I currently do not have a sock blocker. Do you know how to make a sock blocker? Because I would really love to know. Like, can you make one like out of coat hanger or something? Although I don't have metal coat hangers. But if you know of a DIY version, I just haven't Googled it yet. So if you know, let me know. I'll eventually get one, but for now I don't. So this is my very first Hermione's everyday sock. I had yet to make one. It's also my very first cuff down sock. I normally do toe up. I did both of them. I use the, do I have? Yes, I do. It's the Ancient Arts yarns. I think this is their Reinvent sock base. Thank you. I'm going to show you what I have been working on since January 1st. And you will be aghast. So, what should I show you first? I know what I'm going to show you. So my husband for the longest time said he didn't want me to knit him socks. He said I could knit him a scarf, so I did immediately. He already told me that he probably wouldn't wear a sweater because he doesn't wear sweaters, and I knew that, so I didn't plan on knitting him a sweater at all. But he's been going through socks like a maniac. Like, there's something either about his feet or the socks he gets or the shoes he has that his socks, the moment he gets them, within days they have holes. So I said, I think I need to knit you some socks. Not all socks are heavy socks, but you need to get some good quality socks because this is ridiculous. We can't afford to keep paying for socks all the time. So he said, okay. Now, I went out and I got some yarn that I thought would be fun for him, but they were still a bit too thick. So I'm calling them his weekender socks, and I'm also calling them the starter set because I wanted to make sure that they were gonna fit him first. So I made him one sock so far. It's ginormous. It seems so huge, right? Again, it's not sock blocked. Hey yo! It's not sock blocked. Anyway, I'll show you like this maybe. Maybe this will help. He's a 10.5, and I'm very proud of this sock because I didn't really use a particular pattern, which is crazy for me. I didn't use a particular pattern. There are a few things I need to fix. So like the toe, I knit this toe up. There's a few things I want to talk about when it comes to this sock. So first, this is the yarn I'm using. This is the, I'm not even going to pronounce it. Schockmeyer Regia. It's the Arnie and Carlos, and it's the self-patterning sock wool. I thought this would be really cool. There's actually a ton of it in here too. And I never knit with self patterns before, so I thought it would be super fun, and it was. So what I did I didn't want to put a pattern on it or anything like here, because I wanted to just see how it knit up. So I started toe up. I realize now that he's tried them on that I started the toe up the way that I would knit them for me. So I think I only have 8. I cast on with 8 stitches on each needle. So 16 stitches in total, but he's saying it's too tight here. And I realize that's because like his feet are wider. I mean, we both have wide feet, but he's a dude, right? His feet are big. So he needed more stitches here. But he says from here to here, it fits like a custom beautiful sock. And then what I wound up realizing what I was going to have to do is I knew I was going to just knit it as is. I wasn't going to have a different heel, cuff, and toe color. I was just going to knit it up. So I'm knitting it, and then I'm like, but if I do a regular slip stitch heel that I've been doing, when I attach the back to the front, the pattern won't match up. Or I might cut it off in the middle of like a pattern repeat. Like what if it cut off right in the middle of this one? I don't think I'm gonna like that very much. So then all of a sudden I'm like, oh no, am I gonna have to do an afterthought heel? An afterthought heel is something I planned on learning to do this year. I was not, however, planning on doing it right then and there, but I knew I was gonna have to. If I was gonna be able to do this the way that I wanted to do it, I was going to have to do it. So I used the vanilla sock pattern on Ravelry. It's a free pattern, and I don't remember who the designer is, unfortunately. I'll find it and put it in the description box, or I'll put it up here on the screen. But it's called Vanilla Sock Pattern Toe Up with an After Heel Thought. That's part of the actual name of it. And she did it for stripes. She wanted to figure out how to do stripes, and it's great. It's an easy one. You want to have been a little bit experienced with socks before you. If you don't have experience with socks, this may not be the best pattern for you. But if you do have experience, you'll be fine. So I use that, and I now understand why afterthought heels are such a big deal now. Like, guys, this was so easy. You just increased here to here, and then you came in and you took the stitches out and put the things in, and then you just decreased, and that was it. It was so easy. Now, the only problem is we realized that I went to, I think, 18 stitches, and then I Kitchener stitched it. But when you tried it on, we realized that this part kind of sticks out. I finished the sock too late, and I should have actually finished the sock to about here. So thankfully, because it's an afterthought heel, I'm gonna go and I'm actually gonna take out these stitches and then finish the sock here. And he said other than that, it's a perfectly customized sock. I cannot tell you how proud I am that he said that, because this time last year, I was struggling with figuring out how to knit a sock. So for me to have actually like Frankensteined patterns to create this sock is amazing. However, there is a downside to afterthought heel, especially when knitting a men's sock with no, like when you're not doing any pattern on it. I get why you guys don't want to do another pair, like another sock. This took a long time because men's feet are huge, and it was just knitting. There's nothing fun to it. When you have to knit the heel and the gusset, there's at least a little break to look forward to. And then you get to do some fun stuff, and then you go back to the boring stuff until the end, right? But when you do an afterthought heel, it's kind of boring. It's really kind of boring. So it was so boring, in fact, that I said, I'm gonna finish this sock, which I did last, I don't even remember when I did it, like Wednesday? I think I finished it on Wednesday, and like last Wednesday. And I said, I'm going to take a quick break. I know this is almost like I'm saying I'm now not being monogamous, but I had to finish the sock first. So this to me is like a finish object. So I put that down, and I thought I just need a palette cleanser because it was really kind of boring. And so I made this. Guys, oh my God. Look at this. Is this not amazing? Oh my God. This is the braided, oh, I'm gonna feel so bad. I have notes, but that was before I decided to do this. This is the braided something cowl from Purl Soho. It's a free pattern again on Ravelry. And I started this maybe 2 days ago and I finished it last night. What? I used this yarn, guys. My husband bought it for me for Christmas. I know. Are you jealous? Okay. Look at that, guys. It's Louisa Harding. It's her Amatola Grande subtle self-striping yarn. It's a blend of wool and silk. It is so soft. So this has not been washed yet. I'm going to wash it as soon as I'm done filming here. It is so soft and stunning. He got me 2 skeins, guys. So this was knit with 2 skeins of this. And what had happened is I tried to find like the same color in both skeins so it wouldn't be too crazy. So, but when I started knitting with it, I noticed that one skein was slightly ahead of the stripe than the other one, but it turned out beautifully because I don't even know if you're going to be able to see this or not. You can kind of see it here where where one starts to gradually turn into the other. So it's almost like a very subtle fade. I don't know if you can see it in the purple there, but the light turns into a bit of a light and a dark, and then they both turn dark. It just turned out so well in my favor, and I wanted something close. This had to be close to my face. It was either going to be a hat or it was going to be a cowl. I needed it close to my skin. And I actually wore this all day today because we had like crazy bad weather this morning. It was so stupid. It was wet snow, so we were soaked. I had this around my neck and I'm like, oh, I'm so happy for past me who decided to make this. So yeah, it's the braided, there's something in the middle, braided something cowl from Purl Soho. And I have enough yarn. I have another skein that looks exactly like this that I'm gonna make a matching hat. So I can like check, I'll probably donate this because somebody could use this. It'll be warm for somebody. Donate that and then I'll have a matching set. So I think this is gonna be my next project. It's gonna make the matching hat for this. So that's the final project. And because of that, we're done our finished objects. Trust me, it's not going to be that long for the rest of the show. I just wanted to show you all the different things that I've been making so you get a sense of the things that I do. And I think maybe in the next episode, I'm going to talk a little bit about my knitting goals because I have a few. So I do want to move on to whips. And this is a little awkward because as of this morning, I actually didn't have a whip. How is it possible I had nothing on my needles? Any of them. But it was true. But then I had to go to the doctor's office. So now I have a whip. I picked this up and I am knitting the Alan's second sock. That's my husband. I'm starting to knit his second sock because I needed to have something to knit. So that is the only whip I have. Can we talk a little bit stash? We just came out of Christmas. I'm going to put this stuff away because one of this is a Christmas gift. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my stash. I want to talk about Christmas gifts first, and then I'm going to talk about a couple things that I bought for myself. I want to share a couple of the Christmas gifts that I was given this year because I got some knitting fun stuff this year, okay guys? So just let me share, okay? What's the first thing I want to do? Okay, I already showed you that this was a Christmas gift from my wonderful hubby who went into our local yarn shop, the Purple Pearl. He basically went in and went, help! And I will show, actually what I'll do is I'll just show you what he got me rather than go from yarn to Christmas presents, right? Because he got me a couple of really nice things. So he got me 2 skeins of the Louisa Harding, what was it called again? Amatola Grande. It's an Aran weight wool, 80% wool, 20% silk in this subtle self stripe. And so you've already seen how it knits up. It's stunning. I knit it this way. I actually knit it on straight needles, so it actually knit this way. but it turns out to be the straight. Looks like it's this way, but it actually goes this way. He got me two skeins of that. He got me, guys, look. Boys Knits by Katja Frankel. It has like just such a bunch of cute, I don't know if you can see that. I don't know. I don't know if I can show you this stuff. It's got such a bunch of cute knits for boys, from, you know, babies to teens, like to tweens, I think. And he got it for me because my son is still of the age where he wants me to knit him things, and he's actually asked me to knit him things. So I think they decided that this book would give me a lot of good ideas so that I can knit him things before he tells me he doesn't want me to knit him things anymore. Hopefully that day will never come, and my son will be like this cool dude little hipster, and he'll just want handmade things from his mommy all the time, right? So he got me that. He got me the 2 skeins of yarn. He got me this one thing I'm going to show you. I feel like there was something else in that bag, but I don't think there was. He got me this cool project bag. It's a Hiya Sharp project bag. How beautiful is it? It's got the peacock motif on it. And it's a small one. It's like it's a small project bag. It's perfect for my socks. I always have socks on the go. But like, what? And then you can do it this way. Or you could do it this way. And then you could do it this way. And then you could just do this. You can do whatever you want with it. And then on the inside, there's a zipper pouch so you can put your notions and stuff in there too. So it's a very small one. It was fit perfectly when I was making my Hermione's Everyday socks, but because this thing is ginormous, I'm kind of shoving it in there. Plus I have Alan's other sock at the bottom, so it's a little bit snug for that. But it's perfect if you've just got a skein in there and you just want to go around. Like, it's awesome. I bring it everywhere with me. So that's the knitting stuff my husband got me. Isn't he awesome? And then he let me knit him socks. I don't think he understands that that's kind of a Christmas present for me, is that he allowed me to knit him some socks. So that I got from my husband. Then I had gone to the Purple Pearl again, my local yarn shop, to get my mom some yarn for her Christmas present. And they were having a sale, minimum 20% off, up to 60% off. So I kind of got myself a couple of skeins of yarn. So one was the Ancient Yarns. I've already used it. I know, I didn't just stash it and not use it. The Ancient Arts fingering, the sock yarn. So I got that for myself. I feel like I got myself something else. No, I didn't. Actually, I didn't. I got, oh my God. What is this? Guys, look at that yellow. That yellow, that green. What? I got 2 skeins. There's a funny story about this. This is the Manos del Uruguay yarn. This is the merino, which is their lace wool. It's their 100% merino superwash. And it's 2 skeins of lace. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but it is so, it's so nice. And it's yellow, so it's probably just blending into my wall. But it is stunning, absolutely stunning. I put my hand on it and I went, I have to have this. Now, there's a downside. These were not the price I expected. I picked them up because sometimes I'm a bit silly, and we all know not to assume anything, because my mother always said to assume makes an ass out of you and me, and it happens every single time. So I was looking at a bunch of different yarns up by the window, and all the boxes said, okay, this one's $5 and this one's $5 per skein. And I was like, then I saw another box and there was just like these 2 in there. I'm like, oh my God. When I touched them, I'm like, these are only $5 a skein? This is amazing. It actually didn't say $5 a skein. I just assumed it was because all the other boxes said that they were $5 a skein. And I thought, well, I've got to have this. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but for $5 a skein, I'm gonna get it. It was not $5 a skein. Don't tell my husband. It was $18 a skein. So whatever I make out of this is just gonna be crazy. Like, oh my God, it's gonna be crazy. So moral of the story is never assume a price on a Manos del Uruguay skinny yarn. That's gonna look really cute. Just saying. The other thing I picked up there was something I have been wanting since I first saw it on Instagram. I don't know if you guys follow the Blue Brick on Instagram. If you do not, you need to go now, because Shireen, the dyer behind the Blue Brick, will change your life. Guys, I have to actually bring up the image of this for you, because I can't. To paraphrase the Grocery Girls, I can't even. Back to the most amazing yarn I've ever seen. I saw her yarn, I saw this colorway, and it was the first time I ever looked at a colorway and said, this speaks to my soul on so many levels. It is the Blue Bricks Killarney Sock base in Peggy's Cove. Now, no, it is gorgeous. You can tell, right? But I need to show you, this is, it's an ombre fade, and how Shireen does it is she is also a photographer. She's a photographer first, and she uses her own photographs as inspiration for her colorway. So this is called Peggy's Cove for a reason, because it's named off of a photograph she took of Peggy's Cove in Nova Scotia. Guys, she friggin' nailed it. Look at that. Is that not the most stunning thing you've ever seen in your life? It is beautiful. She nailed it. So many dyers do nail their photograph inspiration, but I think no one does it as well as Shireen. She's got buckets of talent when it comes to all of her yarn. Looking through it, she shows you the photos she taken. She just did one of her dog recently, and she nailed it. She nails the colors in every single way. And I don't know what I'm gonna make this into. I might try and snag one more skein and do a shawl. Although there's 500 yards. I might be able to do something with it. Like, there's a lot in here. I'm not gonna make a sock out of it. It's too beautiful to have as a sock. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but oh my God. This is like my dream come true, that I have just even one single skein. And that is my husband. Oh my goodness. He's getting our son for the first time, picking him up from daycare. What you gonna do? Anyway, so the last thing I want to show you as far as yarn goes, then I have a couple things to show you that I got for Christmas. I went home to my mom's and my dad's for Christmas. They live about an hour outside of Toronto, and her friend just opened a yarn shop in town. They live in Coburg. Her friend Kathy opened up a yarn store called Yarn It on Division Street, and she opened it up in November, and I wanted to see it super bad. So Mom and I took a trip over one day. Guys, if you're in the area or you want to make a trip down there, it is stunning. For a woman who really didn't plan, like she really didn't think she was going to open this store, I wish I had that store in my area, because I would be there every single day. She has made the inside so inviting for you to just show up with your knitting, sit down and knit. Like, oh, and she's so sweet. Anyway, so we were there. That's where I got the yarn for Alan's socks. I also picked up one for me. I wanted another self-patterning piece of yarn, but here's the funny thing is this is what I picked up. It didn't come with a ball band. But I saw these colors. Look at them. Of course, it's got teal in it, which is like my favorite. The teals and the yellows and the browns and the oranges. It's just so funky. I had to get it. I said, I don't care what the pattern is. I just want this material. And then I think it's going to be super fun to see what it actually knits up to be. I have no idea what it's going to look like. So after Alan's socks are done, I'm going to make myself a pair. This is just a 2-ply, so it's not as thick as the one that I'm making for him. But I'm very excited to see what this is going to knit up as. So it's going to be a surprise for you guys, unless you guys have it already. I don't want to know. Even if you know you've knitted up before, I want it to be a surprise, because I told Kathy I don't care that the ball band isn't with it. That's half of why I'm buying it. So that is what I bought, and that is all the yarn I've picked up in the last like month, or I've been gifted. Now, over Christmas, I did ask for yarny things for Christmas. Alan gave me that wonderful set of stuff for Christmas, and then I specifically asked my mother-in-law if she could get this for me, and she did off of Amazon. She got me the Sock Knitter's Handbook by Charlene Scherp and Beth Perot, or Parrot, I'm not sure. Anyway, I wanted this. It was suggested to me, I think, on another podcast. I think maybe the Grocery Girl suggested it a long time ago as a good sock book to have. And it's really cool because it doesn't really teach you how to make socks. This is for someone who's already knit a couple pairs of socks and just wants some extra ideas. It's definitely not a beginner sock knitter book, but what it does is it gives you advice from whether you knit top, like cuff down, or toe up, which is really great. And she gives you, say, like 6 different ways to cast on cuff down, 6 different ways to cast on toe up. This is how you can like cast, like different ways to cast on. This is, you know, casting on for top down socks. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different ways you can do your cuffs, right? So she gives you expert advice. She gives you tips. She teaches you how to do these. She gives you a bunch of different heels for cuff down and toe up, which is great. And what I love, and this is what I use to help me with Alan's sock, is at the back, there's a chart. There's one for kids too, but there's a chart for women and a chart for men. And you find where so like we'll look at mine because you're probably a woman. I'm assuming. I hope that there's a few guys watching too, but we're going to go with the majority. So I'm a 7.5. So she teaches you that, okay, are you a narrow, medium, or a wide? So, I mean, I know I'm a wide, but I measured around my foot. She said, if you're wide, you're about 9 1/8 inches in circumference. So if you don't know, you just measure your foot in circumference and you'll find out whether or not you're a narrow, medium, or a wide foot. And then over here, this is sock length in inches. She's going to tell you your leg should be approximately 6 3/4 inch. Your heel flap is going to be about 2 1/4 inch. Heel to toe will be about 7 3/4 inch. Your toe will be about 1 3/4 inch. And your total length, foot length, is going to be about 9 3/8 inch. I used that with Alan's. I actually used a highlighter because our feet aren't going to change. I did not use that on my son's because his are going to change. I used those numbers to help me knit the sock I knit him. It's perfect. Perfect. So I'm just telling you, if you want a little bit, like I'm going to try to do different types of heel flaps. I want to play around with it and just try to actually customize my own socks. I think that would be amazing because I really love socks. I love the fact that I can make a pair of socks. So this was amazing. Like whether you buy it yourself or you ask for it as a gift or if you want to give it as a gift, it's a good idea. And then finally, my brother bought me something from Kathy Starr Yarn in Coburg. He bought me the Knitter's Pride. I think they're called the Dreams. It's like the Dreams set. I have it on my phone. Let me find it for you, darlings. The Knitter's Pride Dreams single point needle set in the 10-inch. Look at that. What? I don't do a lot of work in straight needles anymore. I tend to do magic loop a lot, but these are great. And I actually knit my cowl out of these ones. I think they're 4s. No, I knit them out of 6s. And they're great. It's birch wood and they're so smooth and they knit like a dream. That's why they're called dreams. Oh my gosh. I get it now. I get it now, guys. So that's what my wonderful big brother got me for Christmas. He also got me a little like cutter. I don't know what they're called. They're not scissors, but they're like, they just snap. He got me some of those, which they're in another bag somewhere. I'm using them. So that is really all the stash I've got to show you guys this week. What I want to talk to you guys about now is my favorite stuff. We are not just all about the knitting. We're not all about stash enhancements and all of that. We have other things and other interests. And I don't know about you, but I love hearing about what other people love, that not with knitting and without knitting. And so I wanted to use this opportunity to kind of give you guys a what I'm loving this week or this episode kind of segment. And so for this one, I don't know about you, but I'm a big planner. I love having plans. I make goals all the time, and I just love my planner. I've used planners for years. I've used various planners over the years since I was in high school, and this year I decided I want to have a different planner. I've been using the Erin Condren Life Planner over the last 2 years. Loved it. I love the fact that I can customize the days. I was using a vertical the vertical planner, so there was like 3 different sections and you could customize it to do whatever you want. But coming into 2018, I'm a different person, and I think I need something different. Plus the customs, last time I had to pay $20 customs fee. I didn't have to do that before, and I had to buy it $50 American, so it ended up being almost $100. So I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna pay that much money again, even though I really liked it. But also, I'm shifting a little bit, and one of my goals this year is to really hammer home some more spirituality in my daily life. I'm a pretty woo-woo spiritual person, not a religious person, but a spiritual person. And I kind of needed something to force me to take a step back and think about things in a different way on a daily basis. So my first favorite of the show is the Danielle Laporte Desire Map Planner. If you've never heard of Danielle Laporte, she's amazing. Follow her on Instagram. She will make your heart so happy. But one of her programs, one of her books is called The Desire Map. And what she does is she talks about goal setting in a very different way. For most people, we talk about goal setting in a way that we want to achieve something. We want to make more money. We want to start a business. We want to lose weight, quit smoking, like all of these achievements. And what Danielle asks us to do is to say, okay, listen, there are so many people who make these achievements, and then when they do them, they're still unhappy because it's not part of who they were here. It wasn't a part of what they wanted to feel inside. It's what they felt that they needed to achieve. So she approaches goal setting from feelings, and she asks you, what will you do to feel the way you want to feel? So the book, The Desire Map, is all about looking at goals instead of looking at just achievements, it looks at making actions and making goals in accordance to how you want to feel in your heart and in your life. And I was like, oh, amen. This is what I need this year. This is what I need. So I went through that and I discovered what my core she calls them her core desired feelings. And when you get those core desired feelings, which the Desire Map book will help you do with the workbook that's attached to it, she helps you to figure out the action steps and the goals you need to set for yourself that will allow you to feel those feelings as you go about your year. I know, amazing, right? So anyway, so that's what this book does. And what I love about it is, this is the daily one, there's a weekly one as well, this is how it looks. It's got the date on it. And it says my core desired feelings. This is where you can remind yourself of your core desired feelings. You can do whatever you want here. But then she has what's called a soul prompt. I love this because she asks you to take a step out of your day, just sit back, and she'll ask you a different question every day. So tomorrow, your soul prompt is, I've worked hard too, and then you just fill in the blank. Or today's was, what do you wish people knew about you? What do you wish people knew about you? I want to know. See, there's such interesting questions, right? And then you can put your schedule, and I love that you get to make your own schedule. She just puts the little dots. I don't know what the dots are between the times. What are those called? So you can do that yourself. Then she asks you just to list 3 things that are important for you to get done that day. Not just a regular to-do, but 3 important things that relate to your core desired feelings. Those are your priorities. Those are what you want to get done first. Then there's a spot down here for your to-do list, so you can do whatever else, do laundry, whatever's not important, and if you don't get it done, it's not a big deal because you wanted to look at these 3 things first. Then she always, every day, she asks you 3 things. What do you want to stop doing in your day or in your life? What do you want to change? And my favorite, gratitude. She asks you to name something that you're grateful for every single day. And then at the bottom, she'll give you a little like quote, like curiosity will save your soul. And these are little ripped tabs, so you can easily find your spot. And she adds little words. She loves words. She adds little words at the bottom. So this says enriched. So you can just I've seen some people that'll save them all and they'll put them in a little bowl for just, I don't know, it uplifts them because they're always uplifting words that you can have in your life. So I love it. I've been using it obviously since the first, so it's been 8 days. And it's been nice to be able to every single day sit back and take a moment to think about how I want to feel and then remind myself to make a to-do list and goals based on how I want to feel. So I'm a huge fan of this so far. They're all like that. And at the beginning of every month, she asks you to look at your core desired feelings again, whether or not they're still relevant to you, and to make your goals for the month. And at the beginning of the book, she asks you to map out your core desired feelings, your goals for the year, and how you're going to achieve them. So it kind of walks you through it. I would get this in conjunction with the Desire Map book. You don't have to, but it's very handy to do. So in the comments, oh my goodness, the description box, I'll have a link to where you can pick this up if you want to pick that up or pick up the Desire Map or both or all of them. I highly recommend it if you're still looking for a planner and one that kind of, one that's a little more soul-centered, I would say. All right, can we chat? Can I chat with you? I want to tell you guys my knitting story. I want to tell you guys a little bit about what I want to do with this channel. And I think then we're going to wrap it up actually. So as I've said a couple of times already, I started actually knitting about 10 years ago. It was actually, I remember this very succinctly. First of all, I grew up in a very crafty environment. My mom is a huge crafter. My whole life, she was always doing something crafty or artistic, whether she was going to pottery nights, you know, where you can go, you can pick out something that's pre-made, that you can smooth it down, they'll fire it up in the kiln, and then the next week you come back, you paint it, you get it glazed, and then it's yours to keep. She would do that, I think it was like every Tuesday night. Then I went with her a couple of times. So we have tons of ceramic stuff at home. My mom even won an award for one of her pieces. She was so good at it. But she also sewed everything for me. She sewed like Barbie doll furniture for me. She sewed clothing for me. There may be an incriminating photo of a matching outfit between me and my Cabbage Patch doll. And it's not a dress, it's a sailor outfit. That's my mom. She's also an extremely talented quilter. She hand quilted things for years. I can't show it to you right now, but I'm actually sitting on a daybed, and the quilt on the daybed is something my grandmother made. And so my grandmother was into rug hooking and making quilts, and she knit as well. And then my mom's mom knit a lot. There's a really interesting sweater I was wearing in, I think, my grade 4 school photo that she made me. So, and my mom's now into scrapbooking and all of this stuff. And so I liked crafty things, but I kind of veered towards the exact opposite of what my mom was doing, because if my mom was doing it, that meant my mom was doing it, and I wasn't going to do what my mom was doing. But I was always into kind of crafty type things. But it wasn't until 10 years ago I decided, that was when kind of the boom or the resurgence of knitting began to happen, like that early to mid 2000s. And on New Year's Eve of 2005, going into 2006, I was not going out to party with anybody. I was home alone on New Year's Eve in 2005, and I said, screw it. If I'm going to be home alone, I'm going to do something fun. So I bought Stitch and Bitch from Debbie Stoller. I grabbed some needles at my mom's and some old yarn, and I sat there. I threw on the movie Hellraiser on the TV, and I taught myself how to knit. So it was very memorable to me that I taught myself how to knit on New Year's Eve 2005 while watching Hellraiser, and I knit my first scarf. But for the last 10 years, all I ever did was knit squares and rectangles, lots of scarves, lots of dishcloths. For 10 years. I just never stretched myself. I didn't know how to do anything. I only had Stitch and Bitch to look through. But, just after my son was born, my energy started to flag a lot, and I just was really anxious. I started getting really anxious and a little bit depressed. I couldn't get out of bed in the morning, and then I wanted to go back to bed at like 4 in the afternoon, and things were wrong. Something was wrong. And then I did get diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder. And the more I looked into this, because I'm the type of person, like if I'm diagnosed with something, I'm going to know every single piece about it. I go to Google, I read all the books, all of that. Like I am that person. I go all in because I need to figure out what is going on. I am not a passive patient. I'm very proactive. Oh, I could go on about how proactive I have been, but I won't. But one of the things when it comes to an autoimmune disease is a lot of it can be brought on by stress. And I know that I can hold on to stress. And I also know because I developed a lot more anxiety after my son was born. Apparently this happens with a lot of new parents, is anxiety happens a lot. I knew I had to change my stress levels. I'm someone who, I won't overtly seem stressed out, but my body absorbs it like a sponge, and it's really not good. So I needed to make self-care a priority, and I thought I was, but then last year, at the beginning of last year, I realized I was being proactive. I was pretty healthy and all that, and I worked out, but it was like minimal self-care. Like I was doing the minimum. So at the beginning of last year, I said enough's enough. It's time to be a little bit more aggressive. I am way more this year. I realized last year was like a trial run, but one of the things I decided to do is I said, I'm done with rectangles and squares. I am going to make a sock. I'd been afraid of socks for years. I tried it once with DPNs. I made one sock, got through part of another one, and something screwed up. I hadn't made it since I was terrified. They seemed so difficult. So I didn't do it. But then a friend of mine, I was over at a friend of mine's, and she is somebody, whatever craft art thing there is out there, she's done it and she does it well. She does everything. And I knew she was a knitter. So we were over there, and I'd mentioned I'd like to get back into knitting and learn socks. So she said, well, if you want the best way to do it, this is how I really got into it. It's to use this book and teach yourself continental. And the book was the 2 at a time toe up socks. And so she let me borrow the book. I took it home, got myself some circular needles. I taught myself continental, and I followed the instructions in that book. And after I had to start and stop 3 times in that book, how they taught me to figure everything out. I YouTubed so much, but then I figured it out, and I've been obsessed with knitting ever since. And it's been about a year. And knitting has, I'm sure most of you, like 99% of you agree, it's therapy, and it has been the best thing to happen to me this year. I have just knit all the thing. For someone who is afraid of knitting socks, with this year, in the last 12 to 13 months, I think I've knit a dozen pairs of socks. Possibly, maybe a little less, maybe like 10 pairs. I've knit myself a bunch. I've knit my son a bunch, because knitting kid socks is a great starter to do. So I knit him a ton of socks, knit myself some. Do they all fit? No. Some of them I gave away because they're too big. None of mine were too small. They were too big, usually in the heel or something. But it didn't matter. I just wanted to keep knitting. And although I don't have a lot of projects going at one time, I can't go a day without knitting. It truly is my therapy. It has really helped my mindset. It's really helped me to think through things when I'm in challenging times. If I can just turn myself off and just knit for a little bit, and that repetition just helps me to reassess things when I get back to having to think about it. So that's really where I am now with my knitting. And I have no fear of socks anymore, and I'm trying to learn new things. And then in the fall, I decided to try sweaters. So that's what I'm kind of going into right now. I used a lot of acrylic just to figure out the construction of some sweaters. I have the first one I made, I might show it to you sometime. It's a sweater. I think I might reknit the neck, but and it looks like a sweater. It's just a little too short and the neck's a little bit funky. And then technically it's still a whip because I've not done it yet. I had some other like just acrylic blue yarn that I've been making another sweater out of, but I need another skein to finish the one arm and do the hood on it, and then it would be done. And I'd like to see it, although I think the back is shorter than the front, which I'd rather it be the opposite. So we'll see, maybe I can just do some stitching magic and kind of like drag it out, because it's not gonna, I can't block it, it's acrylic, right? So I'm kind of playing with garments now that I have socks pretty much down. I'm still working on that this year, but I want to try some garments. I want to try some shawls this year. I'll go into that in the next show. I want to talk about my knitting goals, but that's my knitting story, really. It's just been my therapy and something I've come back to. And I know a lot of people have the same story where they're introduced to it as a child. They tried it out here and there every once in a while, but something clicks at some point in their lives and it just becomes like an all-consuming obsession, right? Like it's just what you do. It's a lifestyle, usually probably when we need to be a little less stressed. So that's what happened there. And then in the fall, that's when I first started knowing that there were these knitting podcasts out there. I didn't know they existed. I didn't even know how I came about it. I'm sure it's because I was recommended a video after I had searched how to, I don't know, provisional cast on something, like it was probably YouTube recommended a show or something, and I started watching it. I'm like, oh, what's this? And then I realized that there's this whole subculture on YouTube for these knitting podcasts, which drives me crazy because to me, a podcast is something I listen to. I know like iTunes has visual ones too, but I'm just so used to podcasts being audio, but it's just part of our vernacular now that to not call it a knitting podcast, no one will be able to find it. So I just started watching some then, and I thought, with my past, I've worked with a lot of social media. I'm super comfortable in front of the camera, as you can tell, that I thought maybe this is something I could do in the new year, something fun. And for me, like I said at the beginning of the show, I was a little hesitant because there are so many shows out there already. And so I don't watch all of them. I just don't have the time for it, but I watch, I'm always on the lookout for something new and fun, right? But I thought, well, if I do it, like, what am I going to add to this knitting atmosphere, like environment? What am I going to do that's different? And honestly, it's the same if you want to start a business. 5 million people could be knit designers. Like, you could be a designer, but no one's going to design the way that you design. No one's going to have those specific designs, those specific patterns, or use those specific yarns. And that's what we love about creating things. We are creators. And no one's going to come at this show the way that I'm going to come at it, simply because no one else is me. And I am more of a beginner. You're not going to come here for tips. I mean, I'm going to share with you like cool things that I learned, maybe some hacks or whatever that I've learned along the way. But like, I'm not really here to show you technique, because I am not one to show you technique. I'm the one looking for technique, right? But I want to share with you my journey and my process into becoming a better knitter. I want to show you the good, the bad, and the ugly, with that cardigan, and maybe get your tips, or to show you that it's okay to not make a perfect garment, and that just because your garment didn't turn out the way you wanted it to doesn't mean you need to just up and stop knitting. You just fail forward, you move on, right? And I was telling you about core desired feelings out of the desire map. And one of my core desired feelings this year is to be connected. I want to be connected. And last year was very much a cocoony year for me. I hear it was for a lot of people. Most of my friends had a cocoony year. Things were going on, transformations were happening, changes were happening internally inside of us, and a lot of us just went inwards last year. And so now I really want to get out and connect, and I really want to connect with the knitting community. I don't have a lot of knitting friends. I do have one group that I started to go to on weekends, on Sunday afternoons in the fall. And that's been great, but I want to connect even more this year. I want to get out and talk to people, and I want to engage with people. And that also includes online with you guys. I want to engage with you and create a community with you guys. I want Sassy Knits to be not just a podcast about me, but something that we all get together and we all create. And you can expect to see videos every 2 weeks. I can't commit to every, I'm very much a person who, when I'm into something, I'm all in. And I understand that also, which is great in one respect, but on the other respect, it means that I burn out super fast. So I do not want to make like knitting in this podcast something that causes me to get angry or resentful about, right? So I'm like, well, what I can commit to every 2 weeks, every other Friday. Right now, you should expect a video. I do have an Instagram profile right now. It's very tiny. It's Sassy Knits Podcast, all one word. You can find me there, and I would love to start connecting there. And then you guys can connect with each other with those posts. And down the road, I will be creating a Ravelry group for, it's funny, I wasn't going to at the beginning. I was like, I don't know if I have the time to be able to monitor a Ravelry group. And then I thought, but I want to build a community. How could I not have a Ravelry group if I want to build a community of knitters? That doesn't make any sense to me. So you can expect in a few months' time probably a Ravelry group where we'll have like contests and knit-alongs, and we might do like maybe fun meetups if you're in the area, things like that. I think would be super fun. Maybe we could do some online knit nights, like some on Zoom or something. I think that could be super fun. So if you have some ideas on how you feel that we could build this community, let me know in the comment section, because I really want to know what you guys would love to see in this podcast. So I am so happy if you are still watching. Thank you for taking your time to watch this video, for watching our first Sassy Knits video. This video has literally taken me 4 hours to film because life has just gotten in the way. I have totally lost all of my light, so whatever, this is what it is. And I hope that if you like this video, if you love the idea that I told you guys about where I want this show to go, please hit the subscribe button. I will be back in 2 weeks' time. Again, you can hit me up on Instagram at Sassy Knits Podcast. You can connect with me there or connect with the show there. And if you want to shoot me an email, if people still do that, sassyknitspodcast@gmail.com. You can get me there, or you can comment below. And I think that's all I've got for you guys for our first show. I'm gonna look at this show in a year and go, oh my God, did she actually film like this? I'm expecting to fail forward in this show a lot, but I hope in the doing you still learn something, you are still entertained. Maybe I hope, my biggest hope is that I keep you company while you knit, because that's what podcasts do for me. They keep me company while I knit. I want to hear from you below. I want to hear who you are, your knit story. I want to hear all about it in the comments below, and I will talk to you in 2 weeks, or I will see you over on Instagram. Okay, bye guys. Works in progress section over. I have the tip of a toe. A tippy toe. I don't know.